If you've been following this story so far, you couldn't have missed what happened today. Because what unfolded in the Senate chamber this morning was one of the strangest, most striking, and most interesting moments Washington has seen in recent years. Those who underestimate Dick Durbin usually pay the price. This elderly Democratic senator representing Illinois appears from the outside to be part of the system. He's been in the same corridors for decades, the same chambers, the same meetings. Some describe him as a man of the past, tired, predictable, stuck in a rut. This description is Durbin's strongest asset because when no one is watching, Durbin prepares. He studies the files, he researches the witnesses, and when the time comes, he strikes from where no one expects, with a weapon no one thought of. Today, that weapon was a lie detector report. But the story doesn't start there. The story starts with Dan Bongino. For those unfamiliar with Bongino, a brief summary. Former New York police officer, former Secret Service agent, one of the most recognizable names in American right-wing media for many years. Radio shows, podcasts, books, millions of followers, and one of the strongest supporters of Kash Patel's appointment as FBI Director. When Patel took the director's seat, Bongino stepped into the spotlight. He made statements to the media. "Patel is the man the FBI needs," he said. "He's the one who will clean up the agency," he said. "He's the person the deep state fears," he said. And Patel kept Bongino close, consultations, informal coordination, shaping messages for the public. The relationship between the two was one of Washington's secrets that everyone knew, but no one talked about, until the polygraph report surfaced. The hearing began at 9:52 a.m. Kash Patel arrived with his usual preparation. He had lawyers with him, pre-approved answers, a bureaucratic shield of language designed for every question. Under the cold lights of the Senate Judiciary Committee room, Patel looked relaxed. Perhaps he thought today would be no different. The first 2 hours seemed to confirm that thought. Standard questions, standard answers, the FBI's budget, operational priorities, counterterrorism strategies. Patel was prepared for every question. He had covered every angle. He had closed every loophole. At 11:44 a.m., Dick Durbin took the floor. And the room changed. Durbin began his remarks in an unusual way. He didn't ask a question. He told a story. "Director," he said. His voice was tired, but his feelings were not. "Let me tell you something from 1988. That year, there was a case in Illinois. In a small town, in a small court, a man denied the charges for years. He swore repeatedly. No one could refute him." Patel waited. Then someone did a simple thing. They requested a polygraph test. The man refused. His refusal alone was enough. The jury considered the refusal itself as an answer. Durbin leaned over the table. The results of the test that man refused were, from the outside, a document that didn't exist, but its absence spoke louder than its presence. He paused. "I have a similar question for you, Director. Was Dan Bongino subjected to an official security screening during his consulting process with the FBI?" Patel paused for a second, very briefly, but it was enough. "Consulting relationships are subject to various protocols. Was a security screening conducted? Yes or no? Standard procedures were followed. Do standard procedures include a polygraph test? Depending on the position and security level, was a polygraph test conducted in Bongino's case?" Silence. "Director, these types of specific procedural details, yes or no?" Patel looked at his lawyer. The lawyer shook his head slightly. "It may not be appropriate to share that information with the public." Durbin nodded, slowly, as if that was the answer he had been expecting. "Thank you, Director. That answer is sufficiently explanatory." And then Durbin opened the envelope. Every big moment starts like this. An envelope, a folder, a piece of paper, seemingly ordinary, devastating in content. Inside this envelope was a report printed on official FBI letterhead. Durbin held the document up to the cameras. The seal was visible. The date was legible. Director, I will read to you a polygraph evaluation report conducted according to the FBI's own internal protocols. This report has been compiled from publicly available sources and cross-checked with official FBI records. Patel's hands came together on the table. The report contains the evaluations Dan Bongino underwent during the FBI advisory process. And the results of these evaluations, Director, I found extremely interesting. Durbin began to read. His voice was clear and slow. Each word fell on top of the previous one. The subjects of the evaluations are media coordination regarding FBI internal investigations, the dissemination of classified information through unauthorized channels, the coordination of director-level decisions with public relations strategy. He paused. And the inconsistencies identified in these evaluations, in the report's own words, fall significantly below the standard threshold of reliability. The room froze. Durbin lowered the document. He looked at Patel. Director, have you seen this report before? Patel did not respond. Director, these types of internal assessments, have you seen it or not? Patel swallowed. I have had access to certain assessment reports. Did you have access to this report? No answer. That's a yes or no question, Director. In this context, yes. The room stirred. So you saw this report. Durbin leaned forward. You saw this report indicating Bongino fell significantly below the standard threshold of reliability, and yet you continued to retain Bongino as a consultant throughout this process. Patel attempted to respond. Evaluation processes are multifaceted, and did you continue to retain him? The consulting relationship was maintained considering various factors. Yes or no? Patel took a deep breath. The consulting process continued. Continued, Durbin repeated. So, despite the report's findings, polygraph results alone are not decisive. You're right, said Durbin, and in those two words, there was something the whole room felt, the feeling of being trapped. Polygraph results alone are not decisive, but look, I'm not asking you whether you kept Bongino because of the polygraph results. He paused. What I'm asking you is, were these results shared with Congress? The question hung in the air. Durbin didn't rush. Like Kennedy, like Donovan, like Booker, he waited. Powerful moments don't come in haste. Powerful moments are built with patience. Director, were these evaluation results shared with any congressional committee? Patel's lawyer tried to intervene. Durbin raised his hand. Senator, my client, your client, is here. And your client is under oath. This committee has oversight authority over the FBI. And my question is very simple. Were these findings communicated to Congress? Patel looked at his lawyer. No response. This assessment is an internal process, and it was not communicated. Durbin cut him off. Thank you. He pulled out a second document. Director, I'm going to read something different to you now. This is the relevant section of federal law governing notification obligations to congressional oversight committees. Durbin began reading. The FBI was required to provide reliability assessments from its advisory processes to congressional committees upon request. Did this committee request this report? Patel did not respond. Director, did this committee request this report? A specific request. Yes or no? No response. Director, if this committee formally requested this report and it was not provided, that is a clear violation of federal law. I am asking you now, was this request made? An expression appeared on Patel's face that hadn't been seen until that moment. Weariness. Pure, naked weariness that could not be hidden beneath bureaucratic masks. There may be specific correspondence. There may be correspondence. Durbin narrowed his eyes. So the request was made, and the report was not submitted. The third question was a major blow to both of them. Director, were your informal discussions with Bongino about FBI operations recorded internally? Patel did not respond. Director, were your discussions with Bongino recorded? Informal advisory discussions. Were they recorded or not? Depending on the nature of these meetings, let me rephrase the question. Durbin closed the document. He looked directly at Patel. As FBI Director, You have no record of meetings with an advisor whose reliability test results fell below the standard threshold. You did not report these meetings to Congress, and this person played an active role in the FBI's public relations processes. He paused. Director, how does this look to you? Patel did not respond. Does it look like transparency? No response. Does it look like accountability? No response. As Durbin made his final move, his voice changed. Director, let me say one last thing to you. Patel looked up. I mentioned that case from 1988. That man swore for years. He said no repeatedly, and in the end, he refused the polygraph test. We don't know what the results would have been. He refused. The refusal alone was enough. He paused. Today, here, you're presenting Bongino's test results to me as inappropriate information. You didn't report it to Congress. You didn't keep records, but you kept the relationship going. He closed the envelope like Kennedy. He put it on the table. Do you know what that man said in 1988? Whatever the results, the truth I know remains unchanged, he said. Durbin stood up. Director, what is the truth you know, and what is the truth the American people need to know? There was no answer. This silence is also on record. There are people who need to hear what has been read up to this point. Sharing is a stronger choice than remaining silent, because the continuation of this story depends on how many people are aware of it. When the hearing ended, Bongino's name was now in the congressional records. The polygraph results were on record. The phrase, significantly below the standard threshold of credibility, was on the record. And Patel's consulting relationship, which he continued knowing all this, was on the record. Over 250 victims, files hidden for years. And now, a polygraph report and a director who knew about it but didn't report it to Congress. Each layer reveals the one beneath it. Each document shows why the previous one was hidden. And each inappropriate information response is actually the most appropriate response. When Durbin placed that envelope on the table today, he didn't just show Patel a report. He showed him that silence is also an answer. And that answer is now in the congressional record. The polygraph results are public, Durbin said. Patel did not respond, and that silence was the longest answer. Stay tuned to catch everything happening in Washington. This story has more paths, and each path is heavier than the last.